This week in comic books, Metamorpho is back, and I think that's kind of cool. Dust to Dust came out in Independence, and I have no idea what that's about. And Sabretooth #1 came out, and I really like it when they kind of dive into that 1930s, 40s era type stuff. That and a few other comic books, but first I have to try to sell you some coffee because it's Christmas. By the way, Merry Christmas. Here's my promo. Buy somebody some coffee. Metamorpho #1. And I thought this was a pretty cool book. I just don't know where they're going to take it. And not only do you get Metamorpho, but you get Lady Metamorpho, who the two aren't dating, which is weird. She really likes Metamorpho, but Metamorpho likes a really popular pop singer. What I like most about this is that we're getting the whole gang back from its original run, right? We get Java, we get the mad scientist, we get everybody else, and even our mystery villain in this that was in the previews, Agent 3, who is he's not first appearance, he's just coming back type of thing. I thought this was really fun. Metamorpho can change himself into any molecular structure that he needs to, and Agent 3 can deal with the 3 phases of matter: gas, liquid, and water. So what happens? It's Christmas. What happens when you hit them with the 4th type? If you don't know what the 4th type is, it's plasma. I like that because that's some basic science that we're just putting back out there for people. And Metamorpho is a great character with great villains where you can put out some of that very basic science type stuff and put it in an entertaining manner. I love the dialogue in this. It was all that groovy or type language from the early 60s to mid 60s. I'm guessing. I don't know. Some of you older than me out there, let me know what you thought. But for the most part, I really enjoyed this book. It's definitely a great pickup. We'll get a couple more issues of this. Absolute Wonder Woman. This is issue 3. And this issue took a different tone in it, which kind of worries me a little bit. They do this with Wonder Woman books sometimes, where they kind of get off on this preachy type of thing. There was bits of hints in it in here. Whatever. It's easy to drop a book these days. It's nothing to do it. But in this one, we get our kaiju, and I'm going to try to say this, but I'm also going to spell it down here. I believe it's called the Tetericide. Tetericide. It's a giant kaiju that kills you in 4 different ways. 1, mind, body, soul, right? Pretty much anything does that. But it also kills fear, meaning that it puts out a sound that wipes all your fear away and you come running towards it so it can kind of eat you up. Kind of like those fish with the little light right here in it. Yeah, only with sound. We found out that Wonder Woman only has 1 arm. The reason for this is she sacrificed her warrior's arm, right, to free Steve Trevor from the island or the hell that they were all in. It's weird. But yeah, so the thing she's been wearing is a magical mechanical. I hate it when those 2 things are put together. Or I don't know about that. That struck me as kind of weird, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to forget about it. It's still in the good list. So as we go through it, Wonder Woman tries to clear out the city. Somebody actually understands that this is Wonder Woman and calls her Wonder Woman, which is the first time that this has happened in this series so far. So if they're from another universe, there's going to be a mystery there. Oh, there's a lot going on in this book. I'm going to try to get through this. And one other weird fact that I can't get it out of my head. Help me make this thing make sense before I drop this book. The entire book, we knew at the beginning that this thing was going to make this sound. It's already on Landfall. It's going to draw everybody. And it took the entire book, right, staging of the events to actually make the sound. The answer to this was simple. Wonder Woman's just going to use some magical woo-woo and make everybody deaf so they don't have to hear that. We're still going to check out #4 in this and see if we can't salvage some of this story. I understand. There's always an in-between issue that just doesn't hit that well. We'll see. That's all I got to say about that. Silent Night. This is the conclusion. As you can see, we got us an homage cover to that famed Batman cover. what a great story. What a great time. I do not want to spoil the ending. But we will talk about some of the lasting effects of this particular issue. Santa Claus is now a member of the Justice League of America. The Justice League. Watchtower stuff. Unlimited. They gave him an ID card. He's part of the group now. He's part of the Honeycomb Hideout. Which is weird to me. Because this is the first time this has happened. Now, Santa has shown up in both Marvel and DC comic books as an extremely powerful being. But really solidifying him in the Silent Night series, making him somebody who cares about kids. Had a little trouble with his best friend Krampus there. But also being a warrior and freeing people I thought was really cool too. It's a great story, so why not throw him in there? We've got some great heartfelt storytelling in here, and that's probably the lasting effect of it all. So I really enjoyed this. I recommend this entire series. Sabretooth, #1. First off, that cover. Oh, come on now. The dead don't talk. So this whole thing starts off with Logan hanging out in an old bar in modern times, right? And he kind of has some resemblance of this place, like he remembers it from his past to some degree, or maybe he just feels very comfortable there. But there's a picture of him and Sabretooth on the wall from back in the day, right? We know they've been alive for a while. Apparently during the 1930-ish, 40, whatever, mobsters were really cool in New York. New York, help me out down below. Sabretooth was working for Mr. Sinister, or Dr. Sinister. I don't know where he got his PhD, but okay. And they were doing some pretty horrible experiments on people. Of course, there was a point where Sabretooth and Wolverine fight, which I don't think we need to add to every Sabretooth storyline, but that's okay. And kind of how Fisk, ancestor, right? Fisk from Daredevil and all that. One of his early ancestors kind of stole Sabretooth to come work for him. And Bubba, this thing is bloody because it's just all-out mafia war in this one. The guy's going around getting back what belongs to him, and he's got Sabretooth to lob off heads to make sure he gets what is his. Just dumb gore and violence. That's it. That's all you need. Kid, Pool, and Spider-Boy. So in this version of Deadpool, this little girl is Deadpool, and of course we got Spider-Boy, who's now the sidekick of Spider-Man to some degree with varying powers. He can bite things, he gives people poison. I think I reviewed the first issue, maybe an issue here and there of it, but I had to pick this up because I had a feeling this had something to deal with childhood infatuation, and of course it did. There was a moment where Kid Pool really liked, right, or thought she was in love with Spider-Boy, but of course it was fleeting, right, because they're children, right? And I thought that was really fun. The banter back and forth, the language that Kid Pool uses in this, and Spider-Boy's like, wow, you use a lot of bad words. And then, of course, the trope happens, and it's probably happened to most of you out there. Kid Pool really liked the boy. The boy's like, girls, she's kind of weird. Oh, yucky, yucky, yucky. And by the end of the story, he's like, hey, I think I kind of like her too. Kind of looks back. And then all of a sudden, she's like over that mess, right? Sometimes the chase is funner than the actual goal, I guess. But you also get dinosaurs in this. Like, who doesn't like good dinosaurs? You get a couple of dinosaurs that are kind of dealing with the same thing, right? Unreturned affections, if you will. And of course, by the end of the story, they end up liking each other as well. So yeah, this should have came out during Valentine's Day. I thought it was really kind of a miss. That's when, I don't know who does the scheduling over at Marvel, but that would have made more sense for this book to come out. But what do I know, man? I just review comic books. Moving on, G.I. Joe. Man, I'm going to tell you right now, the new G.I. Joe series. This one's from Image, and this is 312. Not part of the Energon universe. It's a straight G.I. Joe story, and let me tell you, I love this story because Destro shows up. You may remember I've been doing this every time an issue comes out. The Dreadnoks, the G.I. Joe ninjas, are held up at the hospital. They're about to fight a bunch of cyborg, mutant, zombie, Serpentor troops, right? We had to split the difference here because Cobra's its own fraction. And Baroness is inside getting worked on, and the Joes and Dreadnoks decide to work together, and they're going to hold the hospital so Baroness can get the treatment that she needs. Plus, also, you really shouldn't be blowing up hospitals in a time of war. That's bad for everybody. But I back up. But Destro shows up and is like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and lay waste to everybody. If you don't know, Baroness and Destro kind of have a thing, right? They're a couple. So Destro shows up and starts to just dropping those Serpentor soldiers and even destroys Serpentor. Now, is he dead? Is this the forever dead? I don't know. It's kind of would be dumb to get rid of a character like Serpentor with that Noblesque attitude. You know, he's got Genghis Khan and all these warriors in him, so he's a king, if you will. It'd be kind of bad to get rid of him. I'm sure there's some DNA somewhere locked up and Mindbender can pop out another one. I don't know. So then he realizes that the Joes and the Dreadnoughts are working together, so he's like, okay, let's all work together and figure this out, blah, 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 blah. Then there's like, now I need to go kill Cobra Commander, drops Cobra troops, and then gets over to Cobra, and then he starts walking into the bunker where Cobra Commander is hiding. He also killed the guy that was acting like Cobra Commander, all heroic in the war. That did not take long. And he's literally just dropping missiles and bombs everywhere. I like that kind of that's refreshing to have in a book, that somebody can just walk in and clean the slate so we can move on to another story. Because I was wondering if this was starting to drag a little bit. But no, it's just action-packed, and then next thing you know, bodies start dropping. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, that means we got to jump into the bad list. Here we go. The Star Wars Last Stand, Battle of Jakku. So this is not an interesting book. It's doing this weird thing. And I was thinking hard back to the movies, and yeah, it would jump around the stories from various characters, but there was something that always tied them all together, and this book doesn't do that very well. We got a character I guess we're supposed to care about, and they go into his history, and it's kind of, the whole thing's bland. That's what it is. The few fight scenes that you get are things like this, where there's like an effect of something swinging, and of course it's just blocking shots. Like that's the type of action that you get in this. There's nothing else really. One other explosion. I don't know. It just was not fun. It was not entertaining, and it really does leave into question people's ability to take this property. Like, they're sci-fi stories, right? All your MacGuffins are already in place. The concept of Star Wars, I think, is pretty well bedded in pop culture now. So you don't need all this background, weird characters popping out places. I used to love the Imperials, but now I realize they hated me and I must do it myself. Like, you don't need those stories. They don't make any sense for the most part. And honestly, middle-aged men don't change that quickly. All right, moving on. Something else. Now, I want to remind everybody that these reviews that I do are per issue. They're not judging an entire story before I jump into this, because I may jump back onto this story here on issue 2 either way, and that's Dust to Dust. So for our first issue, I don't know, it read kind of bland. If you don't know, this is kind of dealing with the Dust Bowl effect that happened in 1934, where apparently Oklahoma was just devastated with a dust storm. Like, there was no farming, jobs were drying up, like it had its own mini depression at the time. So we're kind of dealing with that era there. A lot of hurt families. Apparently, there may be a little bit of a mystery investigation here, as our local sheriff found some bones. But for the most part, people are trying to get out of town. And you kind of, I guess it would be hard. So you know what? I'm going to justify this book in this way. So I want to like this. I'm going to justify it this way. Let me know what you think. We, right, as of current times, probably will never know the effects of something like happened in Oklahoma, like the Dust Bowl. So I think the writer wanted to take a real good, just one issue, and just say, hey, this is what they had to deal with, and these are our characters. So instead of maybe world building or plot building, maybe this is just more of an introduction to the environment and the people, character development. Maybe, I don't know. But it seemed like a whole lot of just empty space in here. So we'll pick up issue 2 if my comic book store has it, and we'll take a look at it. Other than that, folks, that is my comic book haul and review. And hey, from all of us here at to Clan Pocan, to all yours at home. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and just everything in between. We love that you come by here. We love that you watch this silly little comic book review channel that I have, and we appreciate you. And we'll be talking to you next week when we have another comic book haul. Talk to you later. Bye.